Not trees, but they're going to be grown as trees. My kiwis, aren't they? They're just really a neat looking plant. Hope to have them on the next terrace down and arbored up to kind of shade the house some. And all that has to be cut. And these oaks will go. And I'm going to have some fruit trees in here, smaller ones. But we definitely need to have some sort of shading on the house. It's very important. And I wanted to share about everything you see. Things that's working for me may not work for you, depending on your area. I was watching a video, and they had these gorgeous raised beds, and the inside the beds, the soil was mounded up to double the height of the bed again, and they were growing stuff, and they were taking a video in the rain. It was really, I mean, I wish it would work like that here. I'm having to water a lot. I'm in a drought area. I've done the raised beds around here. Last year was all container gardening, in containers, constant watering, because it's baking that soil during the summer. Great during the early spring, the soil warms up faster in the containers. Tomatoes like that, any nightshades like that. But the rest of the summer, the heat will literally bake the roots if you don't keep it watered every day or shaded. Preferably both. So that's why this year, not only did we have to do the trenches because of the clay situation here, the way this this used to be just a slope, and the previous owner terraced this, and he used clay from the bottom of the property, trying to do a pond down there, which is something we're going to hope to do ourselves too. But doing a trench, and then I'm doing a combination of compost, horse manure, and the clay that's here. Some of this clay is clay. I mean, it's just a clod of clay. There's nothing else in there, and nothing. It's going to be hard for anything to grow. Or it's going to have some bits of sand in there, which is fine. So I've been doing a mixture of almost a third to half of this with the compost, and that seems to be doing fine. The plants seem to like this. The clay is full of nutrients that most plants can't access because their root systems can't fight into it. So I'm going to work on that. But watching someone else's video, raised beds have a lot of pros with them. It's easier on your back. It's easier to weed. It's easier to take care of. You have to water it. You have to water it a lot because it drains. That's part of it. It drains really well. So it means it dries out really well too. Here, the moisture is staying a little bit more there. You see what the bottom of this, about a foot and a half down, it's clay. So be aware, just because someone's having wonderful results with raised beds or trench, your area, you got to know the area. They were also talking about trees and how to plant the trees. If you notice, my trees are in a bowl. The ones, the chestnuts I showed you, those started out in bowls because I wanted the water. I wanted to just dump a bunch of water there and let it soak in. When I water them, that's how I do it. And then after about 3 to 4 weeks, I cover it with mulch, and then just keep mulching, and then still watering it down. So it's got, it's getting kind of a compost tea every time it's watered, now that the mulch is breaking down and the water's doing that. But in other areas, that may be very bad for your trees. You may have to keep them up higher and plant them higher than they were. A lot of things tell you that when you plant a tree, whatever that level is, that's where you want to bury it. You want that to be level with the soil that you're planting it in. I'm planting it lower. That may not work for you. Some places they're saying to plant higher. That definitely does not work here. As you can see, this is probably what killed that one. I needed to come, I probably should have come in here and covered it better. But see, that's between the frost and the drying out. And I think amazingly, you got these 2 containers made for plants, and they have the hole in the bottom. So whenever you water, the water goes right through and it's gone. The buckets, I drilled a hole about 2 to 3 inches from the bottom on the side. Here's, show you what I mean. It just has that one hole. And sometimes it's a pain because they do get clogged, and water will sit there and I have to come in here and stick something in the hole. But that little bit of water at the bottom is always retained, so that the roots have access to it. If the roots don't like it, they don't grow into the water where it stays soggy, but they have access to it, just like one of those self-watering containers. So I found out years ago, if you watch my previous videos, where I was building the self-watering containers using 2 buckets, a PVC pipe, a hole in the center of the, it's like, I did it, and then I noticed there was no difference between the plants I was growing in that and the plants that I just drilled a hole in the side 2 or 3 inches up. They were doing just as well, and that saved me on time, labor, and cost. Instead of having to put 2 buckets for 1 plant, I'll have a bucket per plant. So be aware, just because someone's on YouTube and it's working for them, things that work for them doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Things that work for me, you have to be aware and know your situation and experiment. Don't be scared. Right now is the time to be experimenting and learning what's best for you and what works in your area. And I'm still, it's still a learning process. I've been gardening. I just opened up a book from 1998. It was given to me as a gift, and I was reading what my daughter wrote to me about it inside, and I was like, oh yeah, gosh, yeah, I've been gardening 30 years easily, and I don't know it all. By a long shot, I don't know it all, and every time there's a little something new. Last year was the first year we had success with watermelons, and I grew them in containers. Had a friend ask me about it. She lives in my area. I know her backyard situation is good, and she was asking me about growing watermelons in a container, and I showed her the video that I did and how I did it. And fortunately, she's got some in her garage without lids that she is going to throw away, and she's going to be able to use them now to grow watermelons. And so just be aware. Think. Realize what is and what won't work for you, what's good. So, hopefully the next video, these will all be in the ground. And I can show you the setup for the trellis. And we'll have more plants out of containers in the ground. And then more fun stuff. But it's work. Thanks for watching.